Hey, hi, I'm Peggy and Salz here live at Mobile Growth Summit. Happy to collaborate with these people doing podcasts the whole day. Now we're winding it down at the end of the day. We can sort of like hang back here. And I love this because my guest is Sarah Main. She's Director of Product over at WeatherBug. And we can talk about a topic that I think is more of like a down-tempo one, but actually super important. You know, people get all caught up in like the performance marketing and the numbers and the data, but if the UX isn't right, you don't have a product, you don't have an audience. You can pour all you want into UA and it'll just go down the toilet, if I have to say that. So you've been talking about that. That's been your topic here. But for people who don't know about WeatherBug, just like a high level view, because the most important point is that you've got a legacy. I mean, 20 years of audience. So tell us about it.
So yeah, WeatherBug is a consumer app that we have 3 different platforms. We got website and 2 mobile apps, and then we've got a few different platforms that are across kind of TV and desktop, whatnot. But we've kind of progressed where we were the first desktop application that came installed on desktops. And then we moved into the mobile space and whatnot. But essentially, we are a consumer weather application. But we're really focused on providing safety and awareness and environmental intelligence to our communities. Because essentially, obviously, we see what's going on in the weather these days. Yeah. So we've really kind of heightened our features on our apps to focus around like forest fires and hurricanes and really kind of trying to keep everyone safe beyond just the daily forecast.
Yeah, and that's so important.
Exactly.
And I like the way you call it like environment intelligence. That's
correct.
A really cool way of saying it. Now you're head of product, and we're not going to talk about like how to get the users, how to acquire them, which channels, because again, if the product isn't right, it doesn't matter if you're nailing it on Google and Facebook or not, because you're going to lose them afterwards. I mean, what's interesting for me is another conversation I hear going on out there. And it's like, guess what? Product isn't just product. It is actually the new marketing. So do you feel like your position is like elevated a little bit, or how we think about product, maybe not even within WeatherBug, but within the whole industry?
Definitely. And I think the one thing that you can say about with weather as well is weather is probably one of the most searched key terms across the globe, across every demographic, because every age, every gender, everyone's looking to see what the forecast will be. So we kind of have that organic reach. So how can we then perfect our product to make sure that when people are then finding us naturally, that they want to use us and they want to retain it. So definitely product and marketing feed into each other, because we have to make sure that our product features speak for themselves, because people are going to be finding us on our own regardless of putting money into those channels.
And also delivering on that promise. I mean, there are so many companies where I'm like, I love this app, I really love it, and then they get really popular. And then someone has this brilliant idea. Let's do it all different. Let's have different colors. Let's have a different UX. Let's have a different menu. Don't you love when they change the menu? If you think that's a great idea, it's not always a great idea. I mean, how do you do that? How do you sort of like make certain that the data coming in from like the campaigns and the marketing is getting into that product and making certain that you're not like changing it up too much?
Definitely. So the one strategy we actually take with our product and the way that we kind of update it is we do it in smaller increments, so our users never are startled by understanding a big change, because the last thing you want to do is throw out a whole new design and then users go, I can't use this anymore. So we actually break our app down into different sections, and we start redesigning the sections section by section. We're slowly changing the fonts and then slowly updating the colors. So over the course of the year, we've actually done a whole new app refresh without users even noticing it.
But iterative. That's very cool. And then you get used to it, because, I mean, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but, with so many different ways to interact with you as a company, let alone Alexa and all the rest of it, you have to train me in a way. You have to onboard me. And that's not just like onboarding me to use the app.
Exactly.
That's onboarding me to use this experience, really.
Correct. Yes.
But you involve customers a lot in this. I mean, I'm really impressed, because a lot of people say, oh yeah, we'll do some focus groups and we'll check out what the users want. But you have really learned how to integrate this into the process. How's that work?
Yeah, so that's actually what I was speaking about today. And we use a feature called User Voice. And essentially, the nice thing is because we have almost 15 million users, our users love to share input. And whether it's positive or whether it's negative, they will let us know what they like about it.
They will always let you know.
So that's the thing is, what we really stress about in WeatherBug here is every single email we get, we answer. Every single one. So we have actually a dedicated customer support team and It's not an automated process. So we actually respond to every single user. And that way, if something goes wrong, every user knows that, okay, they're being taken care of. Someone on WeatherBug is helping diagnose and fix my issue. And that way we aren't losing the users that are upset that something doesn't work, because they actually just appreciate the time and the care that we go out the extra mile. And then on the flip side, users are actually then more interested to then send us positive feedback when a feature does come out. Oh, we love this new section. We love the new updates. Please focus on this.
So it's like a bit more give and take there.
Exactly. So the way that we actually run our customer support team, customer support runs directly into product. I actually manage the customer support team, which then is communicated to engineering.
So you're getting this commentary and all this input back into the product.
100%. So
which is great, because usually it's like trapped over in the CRM. It's like, yeah, well, there was someone who didn't like this or that.
Exactly.
And we handled it and it's all right. We put that fire out, but then it doesn't make its way back into a feature.
Exactly. So that's the thing is how we do it is we actually have a feedback loop. So I obviously am communicating with engineering every day. So now that I understand so much what the users are saying, we also believe that if things are broken in your application, you shouldn't just keep adding new features if something's not working. So we leverage that user feedback to actually then prioritize, okay, what do we need to work on and fix this week in terms of technical debt? Because if we can fix those issues, obviously it's not just happening to one person, it's happening to more. Yeah. So that whole feedback cycle of customer support to product to engineering is constantly being discussed. So it's actually making our customers happier, but making our product stronger at the same time.
Any difficulties there? Because I can imagine some engineers, probably first of all, it's like speaking Klingon. And secondly, they love their stuff. So you're telling them, hey, you know that feature you're so excited about? Well, I've got customers over here telling me this. How do you communicate that? You must have to be really quite diplomatic.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's part of my job is trying to keep everyone happy. There's always wants and needs from every team. There's sales things we need to bring in. There's marketing issues. But I think at the end of the day that we are a very data-driven organization and we are run through that methodology. So essentially, weather is data, essentially, and that's coming in. So if something isn't working in the sense of what the users are complaining about, it's typically like a map. Or this isn't opening, or what and whatnot. And that, in the engineering sense, is understood as the data is not flowing in properly. We need to fix it. So
it's not like an extra, do me a favor, do this. It's like, no, it's absolutely data driven.
Correct. So essentially, my job is to take what users say, translate it into data terms, so the engineers know what I'm talking about, and then let's put it in the roadmap. So I think the one key piece in working with engineers is put things in their language and they understand, rather than just saying, hey, we've got a few angry customers saying this, let's fix this today. No. So really show kind of the correlation there.
How about with marketing? Because product being the new marketing, I'm hearing so much about that. I actually love that phrase because it's real. I mean, I was a bit discouraged in the early days of app growth because it was just about, I'm going to get these users, I'm going to get them in, and they're going to go there, and they're going to get out in 14 days, but hey, that's all right, because I've made my money back. And I'm like, why would you want to have people come in and go out in 14 days?
Yep.
So, marketing is like, hey, it's great, spend low, engage high, take the money and run. I didn't say that, but really. And then you're like, hey, longevity, 20 years, legacy, product that pleases people.
Exactly.
How does that work?
So the nice thing about the product and the marketing team is essentially, so we do work together and whatnot, but I think the whole essence of product is understanding the user psychology. Why does the user want to use the product in the first place? Yeah. So that goes hand in hand with the marketing team, because how are you then going to sell that message to bring more users in?
Exactly.
So I think that's how we actually mix it very well, is because the message that we communicate for why we're building a product or why we're building a feature is exactly the message in the sense and how marketing should be selling us and where our marketing dollars should be being spent.
How far is this? I mean, is this like an experimental thought? Let's get a couple of teams together, get them working together, or is this already across all of WeatherBug?
So fortunately for us, WeatherBug is actually only 35 people. We're a very small organization.
Really? But you make such a big impact.
Exactly. So
I swear.
So that's the interesting thing, is we're actually a very small organization. So our resources are essentially, I run a lot of the marketing and the customer support. Mm-hmm. So essentially we've tied in product, marketing, and customer support as kind of this understanding of all working together. So that way, when we do strategies, they're all in parallel and everyone's in the same line.
That's truly like a model structure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great to have that. I mean, now that you have it, I guess it is company-wide because you're 35 people. When did you make that shift?
So
I think you've been a little earlier than most.
So I started at WeatherBug 2 years ago,
Okay.
and around that shift, when we were acquired by our company Ground Truth, when we were acquired, we shifted focus in the sense of the direction underneath their new ownership, and from there, they really made the team very lean and data and engineering focused, and then they kept product, marketing, and sales smaller, and then kind of operating in the same silos.
Smart, very smart. And what is the overall thinking about the life cycle? Because it's a very different life cycle. We talked about like teaching people to stay in that life cycle. So you have to You have to think about the product as you have to make an experience that's going to keep people in.
Exactly.
Are you experimenting with that formula? Do you have any thoughts about like what makes a product really, really engaging?
Yeah, so the one thing that we've come to realize is our users obviously flow with the weather. So if the weather gets bad, the users are coming in and they're going to check the app more. So we've definitely brought in some mechanisms to make the users kind of stick more in the sense of once they're in the application. So if you were driving a user in the application to say check the weather, we have new sections that are more focused around content that actually allow the users to spend more time in the app to make it more sticky. So we have a video section that performs extremely well. Our users love going in and watching kind of animals playing in the snow and whatnot. It's sticky, and then they can
always
kind of play
animals
around.
that always does it.
Always animals.
Okay.
And then we've actually then expanded some of our features to include like hurricanes and fire, kind of these new weather phenomenons that people are understanding that are having a much larger impact to kind of their surroundings. So not only is the users going to go in and check what's the weather tomorrow, but what's kind of the global occurrence, what's happening around me.
And also that like environmental intelligence. I can see that being very important, virus questions.
Definitely.
Australia, tragedy.
Exactly.
I mean, we are so impacted by our environment. How do you teach them to see it as intelligence rather than just, checking the weather? Is there like a learning process to that as well?
So the one thing that
you have the content to back it up.
Yeah.
But you still have to train me to see it that way.
So the one thing that we do is when we introduce a new feature in our application, we do a new onboarding flow. So we introduce the section to the user, and then we also can periodically push messages to our users that are kind of like product marketing push that can say breaking news, wildfires have reached this, or we can discuss what's going on in the world. So we can kind of engage with the user outside the application. So then when they go in the application, they're more interested to opt in to kind of look at those different sections and whatnot.
That's exciting, thinking about engaging not only in the product, but when they're not in the product at all.
Exactly.
And have that sort of those insights, feedback. I mean, we talked about different channels, and this lends itself to voice, obviously.
Yes.
I can see smart, wearable stuff, all part of that. Do you offer that on these platforms already?
So we have Apple Watch. We're moving into the TV space. We have a Fire TV right now, but definitely the other wearables will come sooner rather than later, because we just see that people want to be connected on all platforms, and weather is just such an easy entry for people to check wherever they go.
Absolutely. So just last thought about, educating your customer base, because they're also educating you in the other direction. They're saying, hey, I like this, I don't like that feature, whatever. These platforms, are you like going full into it, or do you have the feeling you got to come up with some tutorials for a 20-year, service? You're going to have some people who really get it and some people who don't.
Definitely.
You're going to have a little fear of like, what do I really do with my wearable, and which one do I buy? Whatever. I mean, there's an education there. How do you handle that? Is
Definitely.
that through your push and your onboarding, or how do you?
So we actually have a few different ways. So within each sections, there are different little icons that explain the points and what users can do within it. So basically like an information icon.
Okay.
We also have tooltips. So once the user goes into a section, we can kind of point out where they should go to push them around. We have an FAQ that's within the application. And then I would say our feedback is probably used the most, because we actually have areas in the app where the user can just directly email us, and then our customer support team walks every single user through their own tutorial if something isn't working. So it's a step-by-step process of this is how you fix it, or this is how it works.
So you must have some real fans.
We do.
Because I know how I love people in customer support when they help me, it's like, yes, I'll use it forever. You know?
Oh yeah, we have some
Absolutely.
very loyal users. We have users that say, I've used your app for 15 years. I love it. I use it every day, but this isn't working. Can you help me fix it? I don't want to give up WeatherBug. We have some very loyal fans.
Very cool. As a last thought, have you ever thought of like really bringing them into the fold? And I guess it wouldn't be really influencer marketing, it'd be like advocate marketing, right?
Exactly. So we've actually recently just started partnering last year with a company called Live Storm Chasers.
Okay.
And they chase storms around the
yeah, I've
Midwest.
seen that. Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
are huge advocates of our platform. So they're essentially influencers, but they're also advocates because they share with their network. They also share with their networks how they use the platform every single
Cool.
day because they're chasing it around. So I think these whole loyal users and these essentially advocates or influencers are a big part of our platform and definitely a direction we're going to probably keep growing in because we've seen great success from the Live Storm Chasers already.
Well, I'll be excited to see other product, improvements and features there. Love to hear your continuing story. Anything we can look forward to in WeatherBug you want to share? Maybe a little off the record scoop. I don't know.
I mean, we do have a new feature coming out in about.
You heard it here. All right.
About, I want to say 2 months, 6 weeks, 2
Cool.
months.
That
so
means look for
hold
it.
your breath. So there will be announcements soon. There will be a press release coming out, but it should be a new exciting feature coming out very soon.
Well, this has been very exciting to speak with you too, Sarah. I can tell you really are into your craft here. I'd love to continue the conversation. If anybody out there does want to continue the conversation, how would they stay up to date with you? How would they contact you?
Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always on social media, so feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. Is probably the best way.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to link in with you. Awesome.
Sounds
Sarah,
good.
great to have you here.
Thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
At Mobile Growth Summit, I'm Peggy Salz.